Wranglers, how are you this afternoon? Hope you're all okay. Welcome to another DW live show. It is Tuesday, the 23rd of March. And before I go any further, I'd like to say a massive happy birthday to my mum, Marilyn, who is watching and she watches all my shows. So thanks, Mum, and happy birthday. And we will see you later. So on with the show. Really delighted today to say we've got the wonderful Mandy Jennings from Paje Consultancy of Excellence on today to give us a sales masterclass. How amazing is that? So, this is something that we all need to brush up on our sales techniques. And I know Mandy's going to give us some real great advice and some tips and some things that you may not have, worked with before and things you've done. So really looking forward to that. We've also got our DW live show panel later on, and we've also got the weekly lowdown to finish with our friend Martin Fullard giving us a bite-sized slice of some positive news in the event industry. So without any further ado, I'd like to say a few thank yous as usual. Thank you to you guys for joining us. Really appreciate it. Without you, we wouldn't do these shows. Really appreciate you all joining. I can see you all on the Facebook channel and also on our YouTube channel. Thanks and a big hello, warm welcome to you all. Let us know where you're all watching from. And I'd also like to say thanks to Stream and Eventer for their services for helping us get on this show, and also Event Case for their registration services, which is really useful. So without any further ado, we're going to go back to our season sponsors, Eventer. I know we got another message from Andy about an upcoming event that you can all join in with, and we will put a link in the chat room for that as well. So over to you, Andy.
As part of our continued virtual event series, Eventsa will be running a customer event this Thursday at 10 a.m. The event will showcase the on-air platform and allow you to have the full attendee experience and see for yourself the potential it can offer for all types of events. You will be able to watch live sessions delivered by our Aircast studio, visit exhibitors, network with all other attendees whilst learning about the technology on offer, combined with the full support offered by our team. Just head over to onair-event.com and register. All details will be sent directly to you so you can experience and enjoy using On Air. Look forward to seeing you there.
Massive thanks to Andy and the team. We will put the link to join that event in the chat as well, and also in the wrap up later. So big thanks to Andy. Hope some of you can tune in and see that that presentation. It's really fantastic. So on with the show today. As I say, I am absolutely delighted to have Mandy on the show. She has been a good friend to me ever since I've got to know her over the last 3 or 4 years. She's an amazing lady, brilliant at what she does. Hello, Mandy Jennings. Are you suitably embarrassed now?
I certainly am, sir. Thank you, Lord Wranglers. It's indeed a pleasure to be in such humble surroundings.
Thank you so much, Mandy, for joining us. Looking very splendid there with your backdrop behind you as well. Loving the branding. Bit of pink as well. What can you say?
Yes.
So Mandy, listen. Before we crack on, I have got an amazing bit of background on you. That you've been in the industry over 30 years. You're the owner and director of Paje Consultancy Limited, who offer sales representation and learning and training and all kinds of things. And as well as that, if that isn't enough, you're also running venues of excellence as well, which everybody knows about. So you know yourself better than me. Do you want to just give us a quick bit of background on yourself, please?
Yeah, of course I will. Thank you, Neil, and thank you for inviting me today. Yes, I've been around the block for a while, as you can probably gather, and I am kind of a true hotel venue person. I started off in hotels and worked my way through all the different departments, which was an amazing experience. And I think what that gave me was I appreciate every job in the hotel that everybody has to do, and how hard most of the people work, and so I took what I would say a an easy route and went into sales and marketing, which I absolutely loved. So I've been working for 30 years in the industry. I've worked for some amazing brands. Started off my career in Thistle Hotels in London, worked for Forte, for those of you that remember that wonderful company. Had amazing training there, and then moved to Le Méridien Hotels after Forte finished, and had a great time there with a wonderful team. That we sold globally the Méridien brand, which is still is a beautiful brand to sell. I then went to work for Marriott, heading up the conference and incentive and agency team, a brilliant team, all lady team, who I know all those ladies still. I'm close friends with them all, and what a great time we had there, working with all the different agency partners. And I was very proud to be the HBAA venue chair during that time as well. Sorry, this goes on for a bit, doesn't it? But and then I moved to De Vere, headed up the sales team for De Vere when we had the hotels, venues, and village hotels. And that was a great experience. Again, over 100 salespeople. And then my last job in hotels and venues was with Principal Haley, a great organisation. They bought Haley Venues when I just joined, and we opened 2 fantastic new hotels and venues in Europe. And I had the privilege of reopening the Grand Connaught rooms when I was there as well. So lots of experience in hotel world. Set up Paje 11 years ago now with the wonderful Karen Patton. So that's where the Pa and the J comes from, the Paje ladies. And never looked back since. Had an amazing time. So lots
I'll tell you
of
what,
experience.
Mandy, if we ever get you on this show again, I think you need to go away and get a bit more experience. I don't think you've quite got enough for this show. You're a bit green behind the ears.
Now, Neil, is remembering it all.
Welcome to my world, Mandy. Yeah. Welcome to my world. So anyway, that's amazing. That's amazing, and I know you mentioned lots of brands, and Le Méridien is a particular favourite of mine. I've stayed in a few of them around the world. Been lucky enough during my travels as an event manager, and they're gorgeous hotels. So anyway, Mandy, without any further ado, I know you've got some slides to show us, as you're running through this, but I'm just going to encourage everybody. First of all, I'm just going to say a quick hello to everybody, a few people in the chat room. Hi, Chris, who says, I remember Mandy from my Thistle and Forte days. Chris Anafotis. Fiona Williams, Felicity Berry. Hi, Felicity. Verity Courier, friend of the show, and also been on this show a number of times, might I add. Simon Hubbard, Nikki Booz. Hi, Nikki. Hi, Nikki Mitchell. Sally Ann, Leah Waller. So many of you in there, and also we've got quite a lot of people watching on YouTube as well, so we really appreciate you tuning in, guys. So I was just gonna, before I interrupted myself, please send in any questions that you've got for Mandy. Put them in the chat either on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll try and ask them as we go, and we'll also save a few up for the end as well. Hope that's okay, Mandy. So if any pertinent questions come up, I'll just try and grab your attention. And,
love to. Yeah,
right.
Please do. Stop me talking.
Okay. Over to you.
Okay, fantastic. So great to meet everybody, and thank you again, Neil, for inviting me. I'm a big fan of the Wranglers and what you're doing here, and it is really a privilege to meet everybody. Thank you. But today really is about getting us ready to return, and a sales masterclass in a short period of time doesn't give me really long enough to do that, but I'm hoping that we can cover some key points. Sorry, can we just move the slides along, because I don't seem to have the arrows. If anybody can help me.
Callum, I don't know. Excuse me, everyone. Callum, I don't know if you can sort that out for Mandy, or we might have to do this solo without slides.
Okay. Okay.
We're just sorry about this, guys. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've been through this little bit of history, potted history. We started out 11 years ago in Paje Consultancy, and we do a number of areas that we look after. So, learning and development and representation, And I want to talk a bit about the different areas that we work through today as well, which is really important. So there we go. I'll just go back here. So what we want to talk through is really, are you feeling ready to return? It's been a crazy year, and today very, very poignant at 12 o'clock when we remember, it's actually been 1 year to this day since coronavirus all hit, and everybody's life just went into outer space, really. And now we're in the position where we've got to get ourselves ready to return to market, which is different for everybody because everybody's had a different experience. Some people have been working really hard all the way through. Other people have been on a furlough experience, which is like something we've never seen before. So everybody's circumstances are different, but I think what we've got to try and do is get ourselves ready and in the mindset to get ready to sell again. And no matter what your business is, it really is about the same things. Having confidence, and that's easy to say, isn't it? Because I think everybody every day has a bit of a wobble around, am I feeling as confident as I was before all this happened? And I would just say to you, just think about all the great things you achieved before this happened, or maybe think about all the great things that you've done since this happened as well. Sometimes we're really poor in sales at not thinking about the great things we've achieved. It's also about getting yourselves in the right mindset, and that's easy to say, but it's not so easy to do, isn't it? You've really got to consider that you can do this and you will. And I think having that motivation to want to do it is really important. And there's nothing like sharing your experience with other people to get that motivation. I know I work with a group of fantastic people in Paje who give me that motivation every day. And I would say to you, if you are working on your own, actually having a bit of time with other people will really give you that motivation to want to get back to what you're doing. And most importantly, a plan. And anybody that's worked with me will know that I am very rigorous about having a plan. And no matter what your circumstances, we've got to have that plan in place. So
Mandy,
I would encourage you today on this anniversary to press that reset button and really start to think about what you want to achieve in the future. It's time
Mandy,
to stop procrastinating.
Mandy, I was just going to jump in then and say,
yeah.
Sorry, Mandy, I was just going to jump in and say, I'm going to put some polls up in the chat as well, guys, so you can answer that. And one of them is about procrastinating, and another one is whether you've got a plan and things like that, because I think it'll be interesting to get some views. So I'll put them in the group, and then when we get
Brilliant.
the feedback, I'll let you know as well.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, I think this is so easy to do, isn't it? We've been through a year where we've been, counting down. Where are we up to? Do we start now? When do we start getting back to what we should be doing? When's the right time to speak to people? And it's so easy, isn't it, to go around in circles. And I think, one thing is you've got to just stop procrastinating and think about now is the time, no matter what happens in the next few months, is to get your A game ready for moving on. And it's now time to get moving, definitely. And time to get that plan in place. So, imagine for venues, for agencies, for any business, really, everybody is going to be thinking about relaunching their business, because we've never had this kind of year of not operating in a hospitality before. We've always been planning the next year, thinking about what we're going to forecast for our business in the next year, but teams haven't been together. We've had no time to do this plan in a lot of cases. And if every venue is going to launch themselves in June again properly to the market, that's a serious amount of competition that you've got to think about. So, what is it that you're going to need to put in your plan? So thinking about, what's changed, what's happened to your customers, what's their story? Has their business changed completely? How can you set yourselves revenue targets? How do you know what's going to be achieved in the coming year? But if you don't have them, you're just going to meander through life thinking, okay, well, last year wasn't so good, so it's okay. But why not set those targets? and think about what you're going to price your products at and what promotions you're going to put out there. So I think thinking
Mandy,
through, and yeah.
Mandy, I was just going to tell you we've put the first question we put out was, do you have a clear and thought out sales strategy for the coming months? And it's really interesting split. We've got half of the people are saying working on it, and then a quarter, like 25% of the 50% that's left are saying yeah, all set, and then 25% saying no, but I need to get it done. So a good mix of people being kind of ready, thinking about it, some being.
You can tell speaking to people that it is exactly that, and I think it's all about circumstances, isn't it? If you've been lucky enough to be in a team of people that have carried on working through this, then most people have got a plan if they're working like that. But if you're on your own, it's very hard, isn't it? If you're an individual business or a small business, I know from our experience, normally I would be going to venues to say, right, time to put your plan in place. But would I honestly say that I've got that for my own business? And it's made me sharpen up my act and think about that, because unless you set yourself goals, it's really hard, isn't it? Sorry.
And I was just going to say, Mandy, I think as well that the nature of us, people being in lockdown and then there's no business out there, to be able to, you used the motivation word before. I think that's really difficult to kind of get yourself to be motivated to put those plans in place. I think, first of all, 6 months ago, we didn't know what the kind of plan was when the end goal was. So it's quite difficult to do. But I think since we got the news a couple of months ago about this roadmap, I think we've been able to plan a little bit more. I know I felt a bit more in the planning mode. And I think going back to what you were saying before about procrastinating as well, I mean, there's a lot of that being done during lockdown. I'm guilty of that as well, putting it off until another time. Have you got any particular tips about procrastinating, Mandy, or is it just a matter of just changing your mindset?
I think, I think typically salespeople can be very bad for procrastinating. And normally you'd have people probably around you, a manager or a senior leader or somebody that's going to be saying, it's time to get your plan together. So I think for me, everything in sales has got to be around having some discipline, having some, really planned time. And it sounds obvious, but how many of us really split our day down into doing specific tasks? And I think, I've learned from kind of people all through my different roles is that, you've got to really set your stall out and you've got to plan your time. Otherwise, you will just go round in circles. So
I could not agree. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, just think about it. Is it sales? I'm going to have sales Tuesday. Am I going to have marketing Wednesday? If it's my own business, am I going to congratulate myself and have a beer on a Friday? But think about, what is it you're trying to achieve? Because right now, we know if we open and everything goes to plan in June, we're running out of time, aren't we, to have this plan? So
absolutely, yeah. Panic stations for us all. We're all thinking that. Yeah. No, one tip I learned from a book I read. I read a book recently, Mandy, where it said, a good idea is to block off like an hour in the middle of the day just for marketing or sales, just for that, to promote your own business, and literally turn everything off. If any emails come in, they can wait. But then at least you've done 5-6 hours a week of doing that, of marketing, of trying to promote yourselves. But it's a discipline, isn't it? It's really difficult to do.
It is a discipline, yeah. And I think the other thing I hear a lot is that, excuse me, people say, well, I'm not a salesperson. It's not my job to do this. And my response would be to that is that it's everybody's job in any business to be a salesperson. And if you are the purest salesperson, you need support from all those other people. And there's nothing like, if you can get together either with your own group that you work with, or, if you're a one-man band business, use the organizations that you're part of, because you can get some great ideas by sharing with other people, can't you? And
absolutely,
but it is about discipline at the end of the day, whether we like it or not as salespeople. It's about that.
Mandy, I've got a couple of questions from the audience and a
Yeah,
couple of comments, if you don't
brilliant.
mind me diving into them. So I've got
Yeah.
a really funny one from Wayne Polytasker. Hi, Wayne. Afternoon, all. Personally, I'd have problems selling a coat to a naked Eskimo in a snowstorm, so this show could be really interesting for me. So I think we're going to fix that for you, Wayne. That's really funny.
We'll be sorting that out, Wayne, no problem.
A few people have said they've worked with you along the way. Becky Whitaker, lots of people. Karina, hold on, I've got a question here, the T1. I know we're going to come to this kind of thing, but just to let you know, Michelle Flynn's asking, do you know very good sales plan templates? Is that something we're going to cover a bit later on, Mandy?
It's certainly something I'm happy to share, definitely, because
Okay.
I haven't got a template on the graphics here, but I'm very
Yeah.
happy to send you something. With by all means, yeah.
Yeah, and Jan Dennon saying, I set out every day slots for tasks, but only achieve it half the time. I must try harder. No, that's me. That is exactly me. I set out, try and plan my day, and then I never get there. With I get swamped by emails or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So,
but both you and Jan definitely. The thing is, you're starting off trying to do what and that's the most important thing, isn't it? It's that we've got those things down. We've started that, and I think without that, you can just meander through. So having that list of things to do, I'm old school. I love a tick in a book, but whatever your method is, if you have it on your, nothing pleases me more than putting a tick through things and thinking.
Every event manager loves that, Mandy. Everyone ticking a box.
Anybody again that's worked with me will know how many books I've got with ticks in, and keep them all because I can't bear to let them go, because it just shows all that work you've done. But no matter which route you do it, whether you have a documents, Excel spreadsheets. Verity will be laughing her head off at me now, because she'll be saying, "Oh, there's all these fancy gadgets you should be using, Mandy, for goodness sake, to plan your work." It doesn't matter what route, does it? It's about having your system and having the discipline, and giving yourself a good kick on Friday if you haven't achieved it.
Yeah, I even do things like I set alarm calls. I set alarms on my phone to tell me to do something. That's a good little tip as well, because often we often get sidetracked. Just got the results of the poll about procrastinating. So I asked, are you guilty of procrastinating? 35% of people said yes sometimes. 24% of people said yes often. 41% of people said actually I'm not that bad, and no people said I'm the master of actioning things. I'm not a procrastinator. No. So that's quite telling.
I think that's very true. And I think the circumstances that we've been through as well have elevated that, haven't they? Because it's been really difficult to set your stall out and know when you can do things, which doesn't help anybody, does it? So I think we just need to wean ourselves off this now and get to this plan. And really think about it. And for me, it's having a top line plan of what you want to achieve, in targets, really thinking about, as a salesperson, what you're trying to achieve, and then a more detailed plan behind that of how you're going to do it. So we'll
absolutely
move on.
Go on, Mandy. I'll let you move on.
Okay. So the next one, really, thinking creatively. So if we've got every venue, every agency, every organization really relaunching themselves, how are you going to stand out from the crowd and think creatively? And there's nothing better really to get your the juices flowing and thinking creatively than checking in with your customers. Taking a pulse of the customer's situation at the moment will help you think more. So if this is something that you've been putting off because you didn't feel it was the right time, or you've been doing more of the checking in call to just see how people are doing, it's now time to have a more detailed conversation with them about their business and really try and understand what their circumstances are. And don't assume that every business, has been through a downturn, because we know some industries are doing very well at the moment. And so, actually putting all your customers' thoughts into one bucket and not looking at them individually is not a good idea, because everybody's company will be operating differently. So take a pulse, find out what's going on in their world, have a really good conversation, and not just a chat. Set up a proper call, find out when it's convenient for them, ask them about their business, and ask how you can help them. Is something, so that you can come up with something that's creative but is very bespoke for your customer as well. So
I think now it's the right time to be talking to people about what the plans are for the future.
it is.
It wasn't 6 months ago. You had to just be checking in with people, making sure we're all okay and looking after each other. But I think now is certainly the time to be saying, look, it's like 90 days or something, before we
Absolutely.
technically, hopefully, should be let back loose again. So, I think all companies should be thinking about that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, salespeople, we can be renowned for talking a lot and not listening. And now is the time to really listen to our customers and understand their journey, their story, what's been going on in their world, to appreciate, what's going to be top of their list. Because, before this pandemic, we were very clear about what customers were looking for. Price was so important always, sustainability, all the different things that were top of the list. Well, that list has probably changed dramatically now, because priority number one is going to be safety. It's going to be cleanliness. It's going to be about making sure people feel okay to get back in the meeting room, in the event space. And again, understanding what's happened with your competition, which leads me nicely onto the next one, is if ever there was a time to do a SWOT analysis for your business, now is the time, because everything's changed. And really anything you had written before, any plan that you had a SWOT for before, will probably need to go in the bin, and you'll be starting from scratch. So once you've called your customers, starting to understand what your competition are doing is going to be vital. And I don't know how many, businesses, I think, often venues and hotels are pretty good at doing a SWOT analysis, understanding what competitors are doing in the marketplace, understanding pricing, what promotions, etc. I'm not sure whether the agency market perhaps do this as much, as I'm not from an agency market. I don't know, Neil, would you have this in place for your business?
I personally, yeah, it's something. Well, it's something that's been on my to-do list. It's my procrastination list. Oh, sorry, everyone, I've gone all blurry. It's on my procrastination list, yes, but it's something I need to do an update. I certainly did it when I first started the business, but you're right. I haven't kind of reviewed it for a while. It's something I should do, Mandy. Yeah, you're right. It's a good point.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing to do for your business plan anyway. But for me as a salesperson, always understanding what's going on in your competition is probably one of the best things you can have up your sleeve, to know how to sell against the competition, because unless you know them inside out, you can't really speak factually. And let's be honest, there's going to be lots of scenarios coming out of this that will have changed. Unfortunately, very sadly, some venues will have had to have closed. Some venues may be taking a different style, and I suppose, in agency world, it will be very similar. So actually, whilst it's very, very sad and it's very difficult, I think you've got to have a really up-to-date idea of what's going on in your marketplace, and make sure that you're really clear about what your opportunities are as a business, and possibly, if your competition are really strong on the safety factors, that they've sold really well to the customers around what they're going to do post-COVID, that might be something that you want to look at to make sure you've got all of those things in place as well.
Yeah, and I think, Mandy, as well, I think this is going to be a shift in landscape as well. I think once we get back and businesses get back and people start doing it, I think it's probably you're going to have to do it again, because it's we're quite unsure what it's like at the moment. I think we can estimate a lot of these things, but who knows? It might be miles better than we're estimating.
And I think you're right. The word estimate is very interesting, because I think we'll all have a preconceived idea, but actually the world has completely changed. So doing this groundwork is going to be really valuable, and actually doing it as a team together. So some of these things that I'm talking about, if you have a team that have been on furlough and some of you have been working, these are really good exercises to get people to do together, to get them back on the same page. Excuse the pun,
Yeah.
but got to
Yeah.
use it at some point. Getting back on the same page is really vital. So, and getting your teams together. So these sorts of things can work really well.
Mandy, I've got a couple of questions from the guys. So Chris says, we've been checking in with our clients for a while. It's not always the easiest to reach them as the circumstances are constantly changing. I think that's true. I think all you can do is your best. Have you got any advice on that, Mandy? You know, sometimes people are just on furlough, aren't they? It's quite difficult.
Yeah, it is. I think it's trying to find out if there is somebody else in their place that's doing that, and you've got to do this so sensitively. But I think now is the right time to ask for more of a formal meeting about their business. So possibly sending them a, would you like to come to a Zoom meeting with me? I'd really like to understand the following. Maybe send them a little bit of an agenda in advance around what you want to talk to them about and what you'd like to hear from them, and making it a bit more formal. And then, if they are still on furlough, perhaps asking, would it be possible, who could I speak to at the moment? Is there somebody? And it is really sensitive. You've got to be very delicate and careful about that. But I think it's kind of setting the scene that you want to have a more in-depth conversation about business now, please, because we want to make sure we're going to have a solution that's really great for you when you return. And I think there's a nice way of doing that.
I think a lot of salespeople will be having picnics with clients in a few weeks when you're able to go to an outside or a beer garden or whatever outside.
I think as ever, using our creative way to engage with people. If you've got wonderful grounds, if you've got great outside space, and you can invite people to come in safety, and I think we need to make it nice for people to come back. We need to welcome them with open arms, but with safety. Maybe not arms, but social distancing, safety, but in a special way, because it's been a tough time. So
I'm going to trademark the sales picnic. The sales picnic technique that everybody will be using in the next few weeks. I've got a quick question from Becky.
Of picnic ideas on the Wranglers at the moment. Lots of boxes and different things people are asking for. It's
get your clients
in.
Get your clients in, sit in your grounds with a picnic. There you go. So Becky Whitaker says, and it may be something again we touch later on. What's your advice to venues that are being bartered down on price a lot for meetings because some of the venues doing silly rates? I have seen this a couple of times. A lot of venues are kind of, saying we've got to be careful here that this doesn't slip into a kind of ever decreasing circle of, low prices.
It's interesting actually, because to be honest, I haven't seen as much of that happening at the moment than in the normal world. But I think we always know that there will be certain groups or certain strategies that groups will have to start to do that because they'll want to fill their gap. So it's going to happen. And my motto on this is always, think about what's your lowest offer that you can give, and be really clear, be confident about your product. And that's where the SWOT analysis can really help you, because what you may think they're selling, the competition is selling at, might not be happening. So I think be really confident about, what price you're offering. The other thing is really think about your competition. Are you selling apples for apples? If you're seeing a price in the market that is a day delegate or a 24-hour rate, let's say, and you're told that actually, well, the hotel down the road is £20 cheaper, make sure you ask the questions around what's included in that package. Is it like for like, or is it that they don't offer the same as you? So be really clear about that as well. And I think, as part of your plan, it's having, we've always done the wish, will, walk rates, but thinking about what is the lower rate? Are you giving lower rates for people with volume, with, a lot of business, and be very careful about dropping the rates now, because that could have repercussions for years. Before the pandemic, we were going down this route where everybody just talked about price all the time. If you rang a venue, it was always the price they offered without asking the questions first. So it really is getting back to what's in our sales scripts. What is it that customers want? Because I think customers' priority is going to be safety, not price. So we're a bit crazy as venues if we start pushing that price down.
Yeah. I've always thought it should almost be like an unwritten law in a city that you'd never go below this price. All the venues should have some kind of an agreement and just make your offer, better. But
and think about your profit, because all you're doing is reducing profit all the time if you go with a lower rate. So if it's a one-off piece of business that's bespoke for your venue, that's worth taking that hit for, but certainly don't go out to market offering that to everybody. Think about what's important and how you're going to make profit from that. Can you reduce the package elements?
Right. Okay, Mandy. Well, I know we're at the halfway point there, so if you don't mind, I'm going to just jump in and we're going to show that's been fantastic, by the way. Thank you so much. Amazing. We're just going to move over to one of my favorite parts of the show, the DW live show panel, where we ask a really important question. What did you want to be when you grow up? And I'll tell you what I wanted to be at the end of the show. Look out for a really special appearance in the middle of it as well.
So growing up, there was one thing that I really wanted to be, and that was
a pilot.
When I was a child, I always wanted to be a singer. My token song that I always sang was Shakira's Whenever, Wherever. But when your own dad tells you that it's definitely not going to happen, it does set home quite quickly, and you move on. And it's safe to say that dream was well and truly parked away long ago.
Well, I think I've always wanted to be a performer or an entertainer, but I remember being really young and wanting to work in the booth, when you pay the money to go over the bridge or to leave the car park. I wanted to be that guy so I could see if I could make people laugh in 5 seconds. I think I've always just wanted to make people laugh, so there you go figure.
I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, the first to start something quite creative, but also I wanted to be a TV presenter, bring value and education to the audience, and thanks to social media and online world, I'm able to do both.
So when I was a kid, I dreamed of being a primary teacher. I thought it would be an excellent career, which involved basically playing with toys 24/7 and entertaining kids with art lessons. So that was my dream job as a kid.
Hi DWs. So I've just been asked what I wanted to be when I was growing up. Well, first of all, what I wanted to be was a lollipop lady. I really, really wanted to be a lollipop lady. Then as my aspirations grew, I actually wanted to work in a shoe shop. I used to because I did actually get a job on a Saturday in a shoe shop, and I used to getting the boxes from high up. Don't know why, but I did. So actually I did work in a shoe shop. And then what my biggest dream was to be an actress. Can you imagine? Managed amateur dramatics and being on the stage and on TV, but haven't quite yet been discovered. Never mind, still waiting for that call.
Wow, that was amazing. Really liked some of those made me laugh. Tim's made me laugh, and the llamas, and Jan as well, and Tia. We need to get Tia on the karaoke, as Diane's just said in the chat room. That was really funny. So guys, if you want to get involved in that, drop us a line, info@thedelegatewranglers.com. You've probably seen there was some new faces on there. People who all said they wanted to join in. Please send us in any questions you want us to ask the panel as well. It's always a good bit of fun and a bit informative as well. And what I wanted to be when I grew up was a footballer. Didn't quite make it, got to semi-pro, and it just wasn't quite good enough. Anyway, on with the show. Mandy, Where were we?
Brilliant.
How are you?
And who did you want to play for, Neil? I wonder.
Oh, who do you think? Who do you think the
Hmm.
only true Liverpool? Come on. How about
Of
you, Mandy?
course.
What did you want to do, Mandy, when you were little?
I wanted to be the Prime Minister, obviously.
Love it. You are. You're the Prime Minister of events, aren't you?
I can remember being asked that when I was about 12 years old, and it was Margaret Thatcher at the time. So I said I wanted to be Margaret Thatcher, which didn't go down well with the rest of the class,
No.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Go on. Moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so we're back in the top tips, and we're at sales leads. So
Right.
I think leads and databases, and thinking about who we're going to be targeting. Before the pandemic, we had the GDPR, a bit of a nightmare, really, scenario where our databases were stripped, if you remember, and all the contacts that we had for many years, obviously we had to go through that process. So a lot of businesses, been running on a lot less contacts anyway. So I think something that really needs some thought for any business is how are you going to build that database back, but also how are you going to target the different sorts of customers that you've got. So I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't just message everyone on your database with the same messages, and that really need to think about your kind of customers in different quantities, if you like. So who are your top customers? How do you connect and communicate with them? And that should very much be going back to what we were saying about picking the phone up and understanding how they operate, what's happening in their world. But also thinking creatively, if again you're going to be one of these venues that's relaunching or an agency, how can you get your special message across at a time when they're going to be receiving huge amounts of information? I saw a great promotion from studio venues last week, and it was really fun and quirky. I don't know if everybody saw it with the hound with the big ears, and just to say that we're here, we want to listen to you, and just a really nice approach. And I think we don't want to be selling in people's faces as we return. What we want to do is be listening to what they've got to say. So I think sorting out your data, starting to put it into the different buckets of what's hot leads, what are lukewarm, which are the ones that you need to start really thinking about, how do I warm these up, and then making sure you've got a really nice marketing campaign that from now till when the venue opens is starting to send out messages. And those messages can be around making people feel safe and secure, but also that these are the things we're doing differently. This is what our venue or our business is going to be doing in the future, and a nice gentle approach, but really thinking about how am I going to use this data to its best.
Mandy, can I ask you a quick question on that very subject?
Yeah.
Something I've brought up before in the past, actually with Verity, was when we did a LinkedIn. I think it was Verity when we did a LinkedIn masterclass a long time ago. Those people on LinkedIn who ask to connect with you and then go straight in for by the way, here's my product and why we put and all this. So I think it's quite interesting as well, this one, because the data that the contacts that you had previously may not be there for one reason or another, might have moved on. But I still think you should. I mean, I would say still send that email because it will still be getting picked up by people. But are there any kind of? I know you said go on a gentle way back into getting a relationship with them. Got any tips on that? Do you mean like a teaser, like almost like a?
I agree with the what Verity said with LinkedIn. There's nothing more off-putting than linking with somebody and then they send you a sales message that is obviously prescriptive and not personal to begin with. So I think anything that we do should have some thought around it. And I think it is about seeking permission to connect with people. So thinking about your message in whichever way you're doing it, be it by phone, email, LinkedIn, is thinking about what message you would. I always think about it, if I was going to have a conversation with somebody, how would I approach it? And it should be in the same vein, shouldn't it? I wouldn't dream of, meeting you and saying, oh, Delegate Wranglers, and then selling straight at you. I'd never do. We wouldn't do that, would we? Well, most people wouldn't. So it's thinking about the ways, is there a mutual agreement? So I think, particularly in social media, you've got to be so careful that you're doing it in a very nice way, and actually giving the customer the information on why they might want to connect with you, giving them a reason. You've got a great product, or you've got a great service that you offer, and could I have your permission to link with you, not just sell at me? And I think the same with the database. I think, we need to pick the phone up more. We need to talk to our customers more, particularly in our hospitality industry. We've become very email centric. And I, often in venues when I'm visiting, people will say, oh yeah, we've contacted the database, but it's purely by an email or just an e-campaign. So it's great to do that, but you need to speak to people as well. I think even more so
absolutely.
now.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and number 6 coming up is the importance of collaborations and partnerships, and this is a massive tick for me. And of course, who better than the Wranglers to be a fine example of collaborations and partnerships? Because we are stronger together. We've been using Stronger Together now in venues of excellence since before the pandemic, because as a group of venues to work together, if you're an independent venue, it just gives you that power of numbers, that strength in what you're doing. You've got that opportunity to speak to other people in similar roles, in similar businesses, but also, in the wider industry, to be part of organisations like Delegate Wranglers, where you can get this sort of support, which you've been doing an amazing job of, Neil, all the way through the pandemic. Keeping everybody learning and keeping everybody motivated and looking forward to 1:30 on a Tuesday. And it's so important to use these partnerships to brainstorm and think of ideas. I know, Neil, we've not met that often, but whenever we do, we always seem to come up with a new idea of what we could be doing better together, or, what about this training, or what about this event? Why don't we do this? And actually, it's so important, isn't it?
We should start a company, Mandy, and then we could call it Gent, Gent.
Liking it.
There you go. But you're right.
There's some,
Go on.
Sorry.
After you.
There's some great organisations out there that I know most people will be, either part of AIEA, the Makoko Group, HBAA. If you're part of UK Hospitality, there's so many. And I think, for small businesses, for independent venues, or, and groups as well, that collaboration is an opportunity to work together. It's not just about being necessarily competitors sometimes. Actually, if you can work together in your region, in your city, you can win business. So to me, making sure that you've got contacts in those organisations, they may have changed, things may have changed, and finding out what's going on in your peer group is a really important part of sales. I know certainly when I got involved with the HBA a long time ago, how important that was for me to start to understand how the agency world worked, what was important for them, making sure that our sales technique matched what they were looking for. And, that experience and knowledge from different groups is so valuable. So I absolutely believe that's a key part of sales these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then obviously marketing. Whilst we're talking about sales today, you need your marketing partners behind you to be able to help communicate that message. And I think what's happened over the pandemic is that people have felt that marketing is a spend, it's a cost, and that we just can't afford to do it. So you can see that lots of businesses have just stopped doing it. And I think if that's the case, it's now time to open the door and start really getting your message out there. I'm a firm believer that marketing is not a non-essential spend. It's absolutely essential. No matter how small your your pocket of funds that you've got. And let's be honest, you can do marketing these days very, very reasonably through social media, through different avenues. It doesn't have to cost a fortune. And then it's making sure that I like this on this slide, your stories must intoxicate our audiences. We've had a year of not, operating the same. We can't just go out with the same messages we were sending out before. We need to think and be creative and think about, what's really important in our message. And, now's the time, if you've not done it, within your next few weeks, to really review and refresh your marketing. Come up with a new strapline, come up with a new plan, and make sure your sales colleagues have got that plan and they're using it as well. So really important right now to do that.
Something on that, Mandy, is something that we've done at the Delegate Wranglers recently is, look at our social media strategy in terms of even just like, say, your Instagram stories and your Instagram posts. There's plenty of tools and spreadsheets out there to download planners and execute things. And, the kind of feeling on it is that you should be doing 5 or 6 stories a day, story posts a day, of one thing or another, one for you, one for them, behind the scenes, different things. There's so much data out there, guys, on all this stuff that doesn't cost you anything apart from time.
Absolutely.
And one thing we've got at the moment is a bit of time. So, use this and plan it all and try and come up with all these executions of your social media. Like I know yours, Mandy, for instance, yours has been fantastic on LinkedIn. I see nearly every day. You've got some amazing content going on there.
Yes, I've got a very fine lady that's helping me with that, and my lovely Mrs. Patton behind the scenes has been supporting me with that. And I put my hand up. We were really good yet again at telling people you must be doing this, but not very good at doing it ourselves. So what we've done, particularly around our new packages for online training and so on, is we've started this campaign. And I think for me, what we're trying to do is put positivity out there. So it's positive messages. It's a little bit fun. It's a little bit quirky, but it's about getting everybody back in the right mindset. And I think that was something we weren't doing enough of. It's shocking, a sales and marketing or organisation that wasn't doing enough marketing. I was ashamed of myself, Neil, but we've gone away and brushed ourselves off, and now it's very pink. Probably driving everybody crazy with our positivity, but why not at the moment, I say.
Well, I noticed it. It's really good. And all I'm saying, guys, is I think marketing goes hand in hand with your sales, your sales offer and your technique as well, because you can demonstrate how well-rounded you are and all the messages about your company, in those messages, like they might not see it, but they might see it, and you're not pointing them to it. They might just look you up and find it. So I would say use those opportunities. Don't miss a trick. We do a lot of it on the Delegate Wranglers. Yeah.
I think the other bit of homework or pre-opening work I would do is there are so many avenues now, as particularly for venues, to show your wares. So if you're signed up to lots of different third-party organisations to be able to sell your spaces, it may be a long time since you put your data out there, and now is a really good time to actually go in as a customer and look at what you've put out there as your message about your venues or your business, because you might be a little bit shocked that actually it's very old, it's out of date. Do a bit of spell check it's looking as bright and breezy, and really replenish the information and get it bright out there for the for bookers to start looking again. And we often do a sales health check when we're working with venues before we start the project, and it's amazing what we'll find as a customer going in, looking at the different things and highlight to venues to update. So it's a really good exercise.
Absolutely costs you nothing as well.
How are we doing, Neil? We're running out of time here.
We're okay. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left, but we can go over a little bit. It's okay.
Okay, so embracing technology, which anybody that knows me probably will go, how very dare she say that? Because I'm of an age and all that. But, you know, it is so important that we do this because, you know, our customers are ranging in ages. Just because we might not be of a, you know, techno era, it doesn't mean that our customers aren't. And so we owe it to them to embrace technology. And, you know, I've seen some amazing video selling going on through lockdown, some fun stories, some serious stories. Getting your point over there. I mean, how better to sell and have an appointment now with a customer rather than driving 300 miles than to set up a Zoom. So if you are setting up a Zoom, make sure you are confident in what you're doing. I mean, I could tell you some stories, but there we go. I think we've all had our moments on Zoom. But, you know, it is about perfecting it as we move forward. It's about feeling confident to do business and, you know, making sure that, you know, your business, are you showcasing? Have you got a 360-degree video of your venue? There's some amazing ones out there now that you can do a virtual show around, that you can feel like you're actually in the building before you book an event. So it really, you know, if you're not feeling confident about it, that's something I would highly recommend that you have some training on. You know, go to your management team and say, I think as an organization, we need to get better at this because it's not going to go away. So really, really important.
Yeah, very important. Yeah.
And number 9, great account management. And this goes back to, you know, listening to our customers, asking the right questions. I've seen some great account managers in my time, and certain companies were really, really good at this. And I have to take my hat off to Marriott when I worked with them. They were first class at account management. They had people dedicated to certain accounts who knew everything about them. And, you know, and even going back to Forte, this is a great art. If you're being a great account manager and really understanding your clients, and I think we need to get much better at doing this again. If your clients spend, you know, X amount of money with you, you owe it to them to really understand their business. And what better time now than to do some homework about the customers that are on your list, about the people that you work with, to find out what's going on in their company, who are the right people, and making sure that you can give them, you know, the right feedback because you know what their company is all around.
Yeah,
it's not good enough in sales, is it, to just go in and speak to every company in the same way? We owe it to them to do our homework. And actually, it's a great time now to put account plans in place for your large accounts. So again, I've got templates I'm happy to share with you, but really mapping out what your customers are all about and finding out about them will really put you in in the front seat when you get back to doing business again. Okay, and finally, not moving.
Oh, go back.
Go back. Oh.
One more. There you go.
There we go. So skilling up, is really something that I would recommend. That there's some great courses out there at the moment, short courses that you can do. If you're feeling like you're not as confident as you feel you should be, get yourself booked on a couple of hours course. Get yourself with other people and thinking about what it is you want to try and achieve. Think about your SOPs in your sales office. Is your sales office going to be up to speed? Think about the team coming back from furlough and make sure that you have everything ready on that plan. It's all right saying I'm going to do these things, but do you know your numbers properly? Do you know what you're trying to achieve? Have you got your LinkedIn ready? And really get all these things ready in the next few weeks because we're running out of time now.
Yeah. One thing, Mandy, I've just ran a little poll in the chat as well on that very subject, and we just asked, do you regularly keep your skills and training topped up? And 73% said not as much as I should, and 25% now said take on as many upskilling sessions as I can. So there's a good little takeaway, guys. Top up your skills and training, with things like this. And there's so many, go on LinkedIn or anywhere, there's so many free sessions nowadays.
There's so many good, absolutely. And
but only free
that every week. Yeah.
But not only free ones, I
And
mean paid for ones as well. The paid for ones are excellent as well. You know, just
yeah,
pick
and
some
they,
of them and
most of
get
them
yourself.
are much reduced, aren't they, to normal
Yeah,
prices? So definitely worth it, even if it's just to get your plan together. So
absolutely.
finally, just to say, it's time to get out of our comfort zones. Now's the time, and great things can happen when we get out of our comfort zone. So let's get this show on the road, guys.
Absolutely, Mandy. That's been wonderful advice, and I know you mentioned there's quite a few things you can share with us as well. So if there's anything, Mandy, well, I'll get that from you this
Absolutely.
afternoon, and we'll put it in the wrap up. And all I would say, guys, is Mandy and her team are just fantastic at what they do. You know, we've had Verity, we've had a few people, Alison, yourself, we've had a few
Yeah.
people on from Paje on the show doing training. They're just wonderful at what they do. But not only that, all the stuff they do with Venues of Excellence. Mandy is just a superstar, as you probably just saw there, guys. Gave us lots of pointers and prompters for us to do things. Mandy, absolutely amazing. Loved it.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure, Mr. Wrangler. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
She calls me Lord Wrangler.
Lord.
Lord and Lady Wrangler.
I've put a petition to government. You should be Lord soon, I think.
Oh, I'd shake them up in the Houses of Parliament, believe me. Anyway, House of Lords. Thank you, Mandy. That's been amazing. I will say bye to you for this. Fantastic. It's been really excellent. Really appreciate it. So, guys, I know we're running over a little bit late. So I just wanted to say, to show you, what's coming up in the next few weeks on the show. I think Cameron is going to show that now. Here we go. So on Thursday, we've got a Grow Your Business Superstars webinar. So if any of you are thinking about joining the Superstars, please join in that. It's going to be actually on the Facebook group itself. So we're going to do a Facebook Live. So hopefully some of you can catch that as well. But you can register and we'll give you a reminder. Next week on the show, we've got a really handy one, which links in with what Mandy has been talking about today. Time Management Masterclass with Laura Capel-Abra. That's going to be amazing. We've had a lot of interest in that show already. And then the following Thursday, we've got an onboarding video with Diane. So anybody who's new to the group, going to show you how to get the best out of it, what all the hours are, that kind of thing. So lots of information. And then we're going to have an Easter break. So we're not going to have anything during Easter week in case people are taking the week off. And then we're going to come back with a hybrid events masterclass with Rob. And then we've only got one more show to go in this season. And then we're going to have a break for about 6 weeks. So really looking forward to it. So I'm just going to come close to wrapping up the show now. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to my good friend Martin Fullard from. I've just been told we haven't got it. Okay, I haven't got the news article. I'll put that in the wrap up later on, guys. Sorry about that. So anyway, Mandy, I would like to say, I know you're not on camera anymore, Mandy, but thank you for a brilliant show. Thank you to the guys from Stream and also from Event Case for registration. And especially to Event for the sponsorship of this season 2. Really appreciate your support. And guys, thank you to all you guys for watching. It's been a really good show. Thanks for all your questions, for joining in to the DW live show panel, and especially to Mandy. So we'll see you next week. One last thing. Happy birthday again, Mum. Love you. We'll see you later. So see you guys. Have a good day. Catch you soon.